Hi there, it's Tanga. How are you doing today? Today I wanted to talk about this whole idea of imposter syndrome. And it's something that I have regularly come up against. And I wanted to share with you this little thing I've learnt working with a really good coach, personal development coach. And in our session, he talked about what are your blocks? And I know that the block is imposter syndrome, and it's this voice in the back of my head that comes up questioning, who do you think you are? What have you got to offer? Why would anyone want to listen to you? And it's a voice of doubt, even in moments when I feel really prepared. A lot of the times it's in moments when I'm actually speaking to groups, and I really wanted to get to the bottom of this. And how it shows up is firstly that little voice in the back of my head, but then my vision starts to cloud, my body condenses, my heart closes, I start to panic, and I feel these panic attacks. So, as I've just done now, what I've learnt is one of the strategies is because your body is going in to protect yourself, is to open yourself up and open your heart. And sometimes just to get moving, because your body's going into this fight or flight or freeze mode. And for me, this state comes through when I'm really doubting myself. And it's a really, well, it was a deep ingrained belief that I had. And so, working with an amazing personal development coach, he was able to help me walk through where those feelings originated. A couple of things. I always felt like, as the middle child, I was constantly trying to get attention because my older sister was dad's favourite, my younger sister was mum's favourite, my older brother, he was off, seemed to be off doing his own thing, and I was the piggy in the middle, trying to get all this attention. And what I discovered was I would get that attention when I got good grades at school, because all of a sudden, mum and dad wanted to come and check out what I was doing. Mum wanted to be there when I was doing a speech contest, and like none of that ever happened when I was young. And so I discovered that in order to get that love, this is my little child thinking, like in order to get that love, I needed to, perform or do these things to get that attention. But what was really interesting was when my personal coach actually took me right back and asked me, what was your earliest memory? And the minute he asked that, the thing that flashed up in my mind was this little child, about 5, me, standing in the dark hallway of our home, and I was wanting a blankie. So I was yelling out and crying out to someone if they could get my blankie down from the top of the cupboard, because mum had done the washing, and my blankie, my favourite blankie, was at the top of this cupboard at the end of the hallway. And I remember, now in my little mind, I remember it felt like I'd been standing there for hours crying for someone to come and help me. And everyone was actually in the living room watching TV, so all the doors to the living room was closed. In my memory, no one came. No one came to help me get my favourite blankie down. So what I did was, after it felt like hours, was open the door and went back in. And what I remember was everyone was laughing and watching TV, and no one actually noticed that I was gone. And so I sat down and just joined the family. And the interesting thing with that memory, is my coach then walked me through and said, well, now that you are yourself as an adult, what would you do if you were the adult there? What would you do now? And I replayed that scene with me going back to me as a 5-year-old and just giving her the biggest hug and wiping her eyes and saying, baby, it's going to be okay. What is it that you need? And then reaching up and getting my blanket down for me and then wrapping it around me and giving me a big hug, picking me up and taking me into the lounge room, sitting me close to myself, snuggling up and saying, there you go, it's okay, isn't it? And now as a grandmother, how that plays out is I'm ultra sensitive to when my grandchildren and granddaughters are needing something. So the minute I hear them crying, I'm constantly running around, to see how they are and if there's any help that I can give them. Now, I started this off talking about imposter syndrome. And what that does is it addresses the fact that I didn't feel worthy. And it addresses the fact that I felt like I was always trying to prove myself and that I wasn't worthy of receiving that attention. So what I wanted to share with you today is these thoughts and feelings come through when you start pushing yourself forward. We talk about starting an online business and working through this online business. And for many of us, as for me, I've worked many years as an employee, which is a very safe, controlled space. Safe, repetitive, it's always there, always going to get wages. So when you step into entrepreneurship and you start to challenge yourself to new experiences, to personal growth, to experiences that challenge that glass ceiling that's become your safe space, it means that triggers a lot of your fight or flight. And it's your primitive mind pretty much trying to protect you. It's doing what it was meant to do. And so for me, if I'm breaking that comfort level, my imposter syndrome somehow comes in there and says, just stay in your space. You're not good enough to go any bigger. So it's really about, this is the part of this journey that I really enjoy, is this ability to relook at things in a different way so that you can heal those areas you may even not have been aware of. You can heal those areas and then grow into the person you want to become. So that's my share for today. Do not be afraid when you feel nervous and when you feel yourself constricting, because that's your body going to protect you. You are safe. You are worthy. More importantly, you have something very special that you have to offer the world. And once you get that courage to step out, that ability to grow is going to lead you through that fear. And on the other side of fear is exponential growth. So that's my share for today. I hope that resonates with you. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye bye.